Hey everybody. So I'm sorry it took me a couple days to get to this, but I wanted to make a recap of Super Saturday from August, what was that, 6th, I think. Yeah, and it was great coming off the Hills of Summit, lots of energy. I know that I personally would think like, oh, I don't need it. I just went to Summit. But I actually still needed it, and a lot of it was still really poignant and kind of what I needed to hear right now. So I just wanted to share for those of you who didn't make it some of my big takeaways and some of the notes that I took. Jackie Bull was one of the first presenters, and she was great. And she talked about looking for coaches and how a lot of times we're like, where do I find business builders and stuff? And she said, don't look for the perfect ones, like the perfect challengers, the perfect potential coach, like what would look good on paper. Look at the heart. You can groom and train someone, but they need to have the heart to do it. So when you see someone who's just naturally encouraging in your challenge groups, or someone on Facebook who's always posting like positive things and encouraging others or whatever, just watch for that kind of stuff because that's the stuff that can't really be taught. Anybody can be salesmen and lose and learn better sales tactics, but that position of the heart, especially for the girls on my team, I know a lot of us are strong Christians, and we're looking for people that have some of those same morals and values, and they will better jive with you. You'll enjoy coaching them more and being on a team more, and working with them more. So kind of think of your tribe, who you want to have on your team, and think of the heart. Really look at the position of their heart more than anything else. And she said, all you really need to do is tell people you can do this, like you can do it, and that's really all that we need to hear too. And I know personally, when I look back, I haven't had an upline who has been kind of in and out of the business as work has gotten crazier. She's had another baby and things, and I know a lot of the women on this team have been that way. It's really not uncommon at all. And I'll tell you that I as reflecting about what was hardest for me in those times that she wasn't there and wasn't active and wasn't setting an example. What was hardest was actually just that I didn't have the encouragement that I needed. So it wasn't really that I needed her answering questions per se or telling me exactly what to do. There were points in time when I thought that's what I needed, but it's actually not. And from further reflection, I was like, no, what really was hard for me not to have was just somebody being like, you're doing awesome, or especially because there was a point that I got like really, really down in the business when she was inactive and struggling with my own personal things in my life. And I just needed a voice of encouragement. Like, you've got this. Like, I know it's hard right now. It's not hard, like, it's tough, but it's not tougher than you. You're tough too. And so I think that we need to remember that when we get really stressed about like, oh, what exactly do I say to my challengers and what exactly do I say to my coaches? If you really don't know when you're still learning, you're still new, it's okay. And we're always all still learning, but just make sure at the very least that you're just encouraging your coaches and your challengers every single day. Yes, it's great to push them. Yes, it's great, but if you can do nothing else, or if you don't know whatever else to do, just be encouraging them. Um, and she shared, about the scripture, do not be conformed to the image of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And how we all just need to constantly be renewing our own minds and working on ourselves first. And so she talked heavily about PD and how PD is not something, there was a wake up call about this recently that we just, read. And it's just like, it doesn't matter how many PD books you have sitting on your coffee table. It doesn't matter how many you've checked off your list that you've read. What matters is how many that you've actually soaked in and reflected on and implemented into your life. And I know personally that there have been many books that I've like read, and I wrote down things and I shared some on social media. And I thought they were powerful and I reflected a little bit on them, but it didn't always implement. And that's the hardest part. And so she was saying, don't move on to another book until you've implemented. Like, you need to like master that book. Like, so pick a book that really speaks to where you are right now and what you're struggling with, whether it's organization or criticism and judgment or communication, whatever in any area of your life, guilt, a lack of confidence, and soak in what it's saying and make sure that you start taking pieces of that and working on that in your daily life and share that on social media, because that's one of the most powerful things, is that we show that we're being visible as coaches, that we're working on ourselves always. It's not just that we're telling everybody else, hey, get fit and do this and work on yourself. No, we're doing it too, and we have to let people see that, um, and how coaching is changing our lives by doing that daily. So she said, be a PD doer. Evaluate the things that you need to do to just be a little bit better in your life and to hit your goals. So, like, you could just sit down and just think for a minute, like, what's getting in my way? Is it stress? Is it that I have way too much on my plate and I need to take some things off? Is it a lack of organization? Is it a lack of commitment? Is it what? Find out what those things are, just a couple things on a list, and then you can just start going down, like finding a PD book about that, going down the list. So she said, pick 2 to 3 things that will help you the most. Maybe it's financial, maybe it's spiritual, communication, relationships, whatever. And she said, then, but don't just stop there. Let's say it's financial, like you just know that your family needs a lot of financial help, that it's driving you in this business, it's your why, but when you sit down you can't even focus on the business because you just have so much on your mind and you're like, I need to do this. So she said, if it's financial, and you're just like, I can't even give my all to Beachbody because I'm like, it's not a get quick rich quick scheme, and I just need to go find more money, and I need to, like, that's going to pull you away from the business and pull you away from your potential. So you've got to start being like, okay, financial, like, break that down and pick 2 things under that that you really need to focus on that will help you the most. So maybe it's saving, maybe you don't save at all, maybe it's getting rid of credit card debt. That those things that would most help you to work on under that category of finances. Then you read, one book like on, let's say, saving, how to save. So sometimes we get this general financial book and there's all this stuff that we don't quite need, or it's overwhelming, where if we can break down what's central issue, like what do we really need to work on that will give us the most like payoff for our time, find a book on that and implement that, read it and start working on it. So if it's telling you to budget, make a budget, pull it out, do the work. And again, share these things because it doesn't always have to be about health and fitness like we think it does. It's just us working on ourselves and making our lives better. And the business is about all of that. So she said, read one book 30 times until you get it right. Like, don't go on to another one. Don't get another book until you see your debt going down or your tithing going up or your savings going up, whatever it is that you're trying to work on. And if you're not a PD doer, it'll just be another thing on your list. And I can relate to that because there have been times when that's what it's felt like on mine. It'll just be like another time sucker, another checklist, another whatever, and it won't be doing what it's meant to do. She encouraged everybody to get a success partner and talk about what personal development you're doing, hold each other accountable to that personal development. Success partner is something really easy to kind of glaze over and think you don't need, but I can guarantee you that we all need encouragement, and your coach can't always give it to you. She can't be there every day with her own business and her own life and her own goals and her own business to maintain, and many, many coaches under her. Or if even if she only has a few, it still is hard to always know exactly when you need something and to be there. So you definitely want to have a partner that you're in close contact with and have that one-on-one relationship, someone you really jive with and who gets you and has the same morals and values. And it will really help you in your business in so many tremendous ways. And it'll take things off your plate too. You guys can run groups together, put your heads together, even run Coach Basics trainings together, team calls together. And so you can find another like lead or somebody at the same point as you, and you guys could actually split your work in half essentially. And 2 heads are better than one, and you'll have people who think of things a little bit differently. So maybe you'll find someone with different strengths and you kind of just complement each other, and your team is stronger because of that. She said that there's a lot of sometimes things that hold us back in the business that are pride based. So she said she was like the homeschooler and the stay at home mom and did it all and a business owner. And she never wanted to ask anybody to come in and help her do the things that she felt like she should have been doing. And I know that I could really relate to this personally, because I try to do it all. She was saying that that's actually going to be something that holds you back in the business, and that your level as a coach should dictate your level of delegation. And I've always had a hard time delegating. I'm a perfectionist, so I'm always like, well, I can do it better. And not that I don't necessarily trust anyone else, but I guess that's the message that comes off. And as a coach, I'm going to stifle the growth of my team beneath me if I don't learn how to let them try it on their own. And that's how they're going to learn, and that's how they're going to improve. And that's how I'm going to see their strengths as a coach. And I'm probably going to become better as I see what they're doing that works better than what I'm doing. And so it's essential to growing your team and developing leaders to be able to like give them things to do, team calls to run, more responsibility and challenge groups and stuff. And so we have to be able to delegate as a coach, but also in our daily lives to be able to get all the things done that we need to be done if we're, dedicating a good amount of time to our businesses. She said it's really not possible to run a multi-billion-dollar business, which is where she is now, and do it all too. It's not. And I know that I'm at a point that I've been realizing that. I'm not sure if anybody else can relate to that, but I've always done it all, and now I feel like I'm always falling short in every area just a little bit. Or if I nail the housework one day, then I got nothing done in my business. If I nailed my business, the house is undone, my kid is a mess, like my husband had no attention, and I just feel like there's not enough for me to go around anymore. And so she said, hire a high school kid or a college kid to come in and help you with your laundry or your dishes so that you can focus on your business in peace. Because if those things are stealing your attention and they're distracting you, you're not going to be able to do focused work. And I know again, that's my personality. I can relate to that. Maybe for you, it's not laundry or dishes. Maybe it's something else. Maybe you can't stand meal planning and you're not good at it. And you know you need to work on it and you're trying to work on it. And you can make the meal plan and set it, but like just all the chopping, the prepping, the cooking, like you don't have time for it. And so maybe that's going to be something that you delegate out. Whether it's a husband or whether it's, you do it as a family, like you've got a local sister or family member, mom, and you guys do your meal prep together once a week and put on some music and have fun, or maybe you hire somebody. So she said, just make a list of the things that distract you the most when you're trying to work your business and then delegate out those things. And I thought that was really powerful and that we really all need to work on doing that. She said, pray hard about it, talk hard about it, talk to your spouse and say, give me 6 months. I know right now it's going to look like more money's going out than it's coming in, but give me 6 months to show you what I can do. If I have just a little bit of help in this one area, all that I could accomplish in my business. And so I would definitely encourage you, ladies, to think about that. The next presenter was Danette Anderson, and she's under Lindsay Stay, I think under Lindsay Matway and the whole Bombshell Dynasty. She's a 7-star diamond coach, an elite coach, top 50, and she was wonderful. And she just mentioned that it took her 8 months to hit diamond, like it took me. So for those of you trying to hit it in 3 months, don't be too hard on yourselves. It takes some time. Um, but she said that she just needed something outside of the diaper changing and, a renewed sense of purpose and an excitement about life. And that's what coaching gave her. And so she said she just kind of wanted to share some of the tips of things that she feels like are most important to do. And so one of them was sharing your story. She said, it breaks down walls and it creates trust. So you need to be sharing your story, but not just once, over and over and over, because there's always different people being added to your network. And if they don't know who you are, they can't relate to you. If they don't relate to you, they don't want to purchase from you and work with you. It's not about the facts. Facts tell, stories sell. Like, tell stories about your childhood or your past or growing up. Give people just little glimpses into your life. And if it's uncomfortable for you and you're not a big sharer, do some personal development in that area, because what you hold back, what we hold back, holds us back. And so I know a lot of times when people ask me, how I got where I am or how I keep hitting Success Club 16 or 20 or 22 every month. Yeah, I work really hard, but honestly, I just think the reason that I have so many sealed deals and so many people always purchasing is they know I never give up on them or whatever. I've been consistent and I always follow up, but also the fact that they can kind of see my heart in my posts. They know who I am and they just really relate to something about me. And the people who don't relate to me, they go purchase from somebody else. But you've got to be you and let people see who you is in order for them, who you is to in order for them to relate to you. Obviously, stick to the vital behaviors. We all know that. We don't always do it or adhere to it, but doing those daily. And then she said the importance of finishing a program from start to finish. Like, that is what our job is. It is to commit to something and to show our challengers how to do that and to show our social network how to do that. Most people are constantly starting things and never finishing them. It's one of the biggest problems. It's why people are yo-yoing all the time, why they don't get the results they want. So we need to show them what that looks like, what commitment looks like. And if we can't do that ourselves as coaches, if we can't start and finish a program, whether we like it, whether we have the time, whether it's easy or not, if we can't do that, how can we ask them to do that? Then we lose our credibility as a coach. Our challengers are probably going to be falling off and they're not going to be checking in or doing as well. And they're going to be stopping programs and our coaches aren't going to be. So, like, everything starts with that challenge, that commitment to starting and finishing a program. So I know for my first more than a year of Beachbody, actually almost a year and a half. It was till I was about 7 weeks pregnant. I was 6 weeks into a 22-minute hardcore and had to stop because I was so sick. And I still haven't felt quite that intense level back up that I could do that with the fatigue and the nausea. But I'm telling you, that's the first program I didn't finish, and it's killing me because that's what I learned to do: start, finish. And social media is watching, and they know when I'm 30 days, and they know when I'm 60 days. They know when I finish. They see my transformation pictures. It's so important to show people that it will do amazing things for your business. Also, invite 3 to 5 people every day. And she said, try to have some communication every day. She said one of the top tips that she uses is to like their profile picture and then comment on it. Because she's like, think about it. Like, when people have that, they've selected it as their profile picture, there's a reason. Like, they really like that picture of themselves or their family. And so compliment on that. It's a great, like, icebreaker. It's an easy thing to go in with. And then she said, as you scroll their page, find some commonality. There is something that you have in common with that person. Find that thing. Hopefully, it doesn't take you more than a minute or two, but find that thing. And then you kind of build a relationship around that. Like, reach out, send a message. And, you don't have to do a message the first time. You can just comment or like on a couple things and put that person on a list with 10, 15, 20 other people that you're going to be doing that this week. And then the next week of the month, you're going to start maybe sending some messages like, "Hey girl, I see that you blank blank, ask a question, get to know them, form them." FORM, the method that we use to build relationships and build trust, but you're not actually sending out an invitation yet. A lot of times we burn bridges, we like jump, we what do you call it? Say walk the plank, but like we jump ship, we just move too fast. We put the cart before the horse, and we burn potential relationships with future clients and things because we're rushing the invite. So really building. So even though it's inviting, it's part of building relationships. That's a part of inviting. And then the personal development, which we already talked a lot about, recognizing challengers and coaches. Recognition is huge. Not a lot of people get that anywhere else in the world, so keep doing that. Showing social media the results people are getting, congratulating and recognize your challengers with their permission, of course, on social media. And then she said consistency and patience. And this really struck me and hit home with me. At a point in my business where I realized how much patience is required. And it was a big topic at Summit this year. If you weren't there, I'm still going to get all my scripts up from that this week. But how important it is just to really that she said there was a time that she actually pulled away from the business and left because it just wasn't happening quick enough. And but she said, it is her coach stayed consistent when she wasn't and kept sharing with the same joy, the same passion, the same everything, and it pulled her back in. And so she said, never underestimate the power of consistency, your consistency as a coach. So even if your coaches drop out of the business, quit, decide it's not for them, take some time off, like your challenger, same thing. If you stay in it, if you stay consistent yourself, there's so much power in that, and many of them will come back to you. Someone is always watching you, so don't give up. It might take longer than you thought. It might not happen this week. It might not happen next month. It might not happen in a year. But if you know it's going to happen, that's all that matters, and it will. Stay consistent. Also, she really ended with, you need patience because it takes time and consistency to build anything worth building. But she said, if you did not give it your all, then you did not try. And I thought that was just so powerful. A lot of times we're like, well, I tried really hard. I did my, best for my first 2, 3 months of coaching and it didn't work. And so I'm out. But did you really give it your all? Did you really do everything your coach told you to do? Did you really watch the training videos every single day? Did you really do your power hour every single day? Did you message 3 to 5 people? Did you do those vital behaviors daily, every single day? And if the answer is no, which it usually is, you didn't give it your all. So you know if you gave it your all or not. And so I just found that really powerful and something for all of us to keep in mind. Because we like to say we tried so quickly and flippantly, but doing it just a little bit is not really trying. And then we heard from Jeremy Red, our VP of Sales. He just emphasized don't let yourself get too busy with all the wrong stuff. Um, Also how before, that happens a lot in the business, that keep it simple, the vital behavior. Sometimes we start to go far off and focus on building my business. I got to do that, but it really comes down to the vitals. It really comes down to working on ourselves, being proof of the products ourselves, sharing that, being visible. And sometimes we stress, like, I got to get this blog up, and we start to stress the business aspect, and then we kind of stop the PD, stop the work on ourselves, and businesses fall apart. Um, Before you can influence anybody else, you have to be working on yourself and be your best self. Um, he said if your coaches have pulled away from the basics, then you need to pull them back into the basics. Do that to yourself when you need it. Do it for your coaches. And he said, the recognition, the rank, all that comes from building a business is great, but it's not what we want to lead with because it's not what it's all about. We need to get back to the basics. It's about helping people get results, helping people change their life. And so he just asked us all the question: what is it in your life right now that is preventing you from reaching your full potential? So take a minute to write that question down. Ask yourself that question. Um, it's a powerful one, and then do something about that. Um, Also, he said, think about these questions. Where would I be without Beachbody? That's a great post to make on social media. Think about it yourself. Like, truly think about what this has done for you already. Who have I influenced in a way that their life would not be the same without me? I know that will keep me hanging on every single time. And what can I do as a team, or what can we do as a team to get back to the basics and really support and share the Beachbody mission and message to help people lead healthy and fulfilling lives? Um, oh, and then we had one more talk about think of what potential customers might ask, right? And like there was a little video about how the top 3 things, like what's in it for me, how can I get out of it if it doesn't work for me? And would I like it or not? And so she said Janelle Summers was doing this video and she said, first of all, make sure that you at least ask. People don't, so let's say like, and this is for us. So how do we kind of address those things and deal with them? And she was saying that make sure that it's not really just, people won't just see your post on social media and come to you. Like that would be great. That would be awesome, but that's not how it happens. So she said, you know, that one of the questions that she asks is like, as she's talking to somebody back and forth, they liked a post, they commented on it, they open up lines of communication, they share a little bit, one of the questions she asks is, given what you just said, have you ever considered doing what I do? Like, you can't just expect that they're going to say, oh, this coaching thing looks interesting. I'd like some more information. But no, like plant that seed in their head. Um, well, you just said you like to encourage people. You just said you're looking for more money, or you just said, whatever. So, have you ever considered doing what I do? Number two, she said it's not about selling, it's about your journey. So, always remember to be sharing your journey, not just trying to sell a product. You've got to get yourself to that place where you can shift the thinking to just sharing and focusing on you. I started to focus too much on the business about like 3 months in, or whatever. And as I pulled back into me and focusing on me and sharing, that is when things started to blow up again. Number three, she said everything about your business is learned. So you remember to emphasize that to people when they're coming in. They've got a lot of questions and you want to let them know, reassure them, I will teach you what you need to know. All the information is at your fingertips, but it's up to you what you do with it. There's going to be a lot of coaches that come on board that have these big plans and these big dreams and a big why, and you watch and they don't do anything. It's one of the hardest parts as a coach. They don't do what I say, and I can't make them, and you can't make them. So just remember that it is about you provide that information and what they do with it is up to them, but you want them to know that you're going to be there to hold their hand and to guide them. Number four, this is not old school social media networking. She didn't really go into that, but I think a lot of people think that it's like, selling and da da da. And we emphasize that it's not. Number five, that you can cancel at any time. Coach membership, the shake, anything, no obligation to continue for any length of time. It does help for people to know that. And number six, ask, are you ready or do you need some more information? So after we've shared, we don't want to, you want to leave it hanging and just let it go. Like, oh, well, they never answered. She didn't say she wants to coach. So no, it's your job to reach out and say, so, given all the information that I've shared, how do you feel? Are you ready, or do you need some more? Do you have any more questions? Just stay in control of the conversation. So that is all the big Super Saturday stuff. I think I just covered 3 hours worth of stuff in 22 minutes. A little bit long for a video, but still, I think you got it all. It's just as good as being there. I think. Well, not just as good, but almost as good. I hope to see a lot more of you next time. I hope some of these things helped you. Share your favorite takeaway below if you had one, and I'll talk to you later soon.